Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this video is on parallel lines with a transversal or two, mainly one transversal. Okay, it's a geometry concept that sometimes is neglected. So, anyways, here we are. Notice that we have two parallel lines, and normally they're shown like this with arrowheads. Some sort of arrowhead, right? And when you have two arrowheads like that, that implies that the lines are parallel. Okay? Sometimes, again, they're just shown with simple arrows like that as well. But anyways, if we know that those two lines are parallel, the key thing to realize, first of all, is that this right here is a transversal. Transversal. And the thing is, that transversal makes this 78-degree angle right there, okay? And any straight line is 180. So notice, if I do 180 minus 78, that's 102. And now I know that that angle right there is 102 degrees. But wait a minute, isn't this right here also a straight line? So logically, with that 78 there, this here is 102 as well. And then I can use the same logic, you see, with the 102 here, with this missing angle up here. And again, I will just go ahead and just to humor us, I would take 180 minus 102, and notice I now know that that missing angle is 78 degrees. Now, look at our picture so far, guys, specifically right in here. Right in here. Okay, look in there. Do you notice a pattern? I hope you do. To be more specific, follow my purple here, guys. 78 here is the same as 78 there. 102 there is same as 102 there. And any two angles in a row always adds up to 190. But the thing I want to emphasize is, let's see here, I'll use red now. When you look at these angles across from each other, notice that they're the same. Those are called vertical angles. Vertical angles. Okay? So, we know vertical angles are the same. Vertical angles are the same. Now, here's another interesting thing to understand is, let's now look at this line down here. That line is parallel to this line up here. So, because they're parallel, they're going at the same angle, right? They're going at the same angle. So therefore, logically, they're going to make the same angles, right? Literally the same angles. So long story short, I hope you understand that that angle there is 102. That angle there is 78. This angle up here is 78. Notice the vertical angles again. And this angle over here is 102. But also, another way to think about it is, notice, let me change colors here actually. Notice that these four angles up here are the same as those four angles down there. Okay? And we're going to discuss that further with the next problem. Okay, so now look at the second scenario here. Notice I have a 65-degree angle there. Let's assume that these lines here are parallel again. They are parallel, okay? Can you find all the missing angles? Pause the video and see if you can't figure out all the missing angles. Okay, here's what I hope you understand. Since that's 65, isn't this 65? And 180 minus 65 is 115. So now I know that's 115 and that's 115. Is there anything else that we know? Yeah, all of those angles up there are the same as all these angles down there, right? So, therefore, do you agree that that's 65, that's 115, that's 65, that's 115? Now, there's one other word I want to share with you, is, now follow the purple. Notice we also can look at these angles a slightly different way. Notice the 65 up here is in the same position as that 65 right there. We call these corresponding angles. In other words, they match up. They're in the same position. Notice the 115 up here corresponds with the 115 there. The 65 there corresponds with 65 there. And of course that 115 there corresponds with that 115 there. So this is another good word to remember. Corresponding are angles that are the same with parallel lines because they match up and they're exactly in the same position. So pause the video and think about that as well. Okay, one more problem I want to show you real quick. Can you, ladies and gentlemen, figure out all the angles in this picture are the same? Notice right up here, they're telling us that AB and segment DE are parallel to each other. So compare this, in other words, with the problem we just did here. Here's a hint. Do you notice any corresponding angles? Well, I hope you do. Long story short, does everybody agree that angle there, let's call it angle D, okay? That angle, we say, is congruent to angle A there. Angle A. Sorry about that miswriting there. Angle A. Do you see that these are corresponding angles? Or is there another pair of corresponding angles? Well, I hope you notice angle E down here must be congruent to angle B down there. Okay? And if you understand that, you're on your way to mastering parallel lines. Now, before I conclude this video, I just want to point out one more thing in the world of geometry. Okay? And that's this. Follow the purple. See that angle there I called angle A? Well, notice there's another angle above there that also starts at point A, right? So don't forget that this right here really should be called angle CAB, for instance. That's how we normally name angles with 3 letters, okay? And likewise, this angle B down here, instead of calling it angle B, all right, that, in other words, let's call it angle CBA, okay? And again, I'm just using 3 letters to name those angles, and that's just being a little bit proper, okay? But anyways, some things to think about. I hope you watch this video more than once and absorb all the key words we covered.